If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Money isn't the issue, your mentality is. Peace, family, peace, 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 peace. I hope you guys are having such an amazing night, day, wherever you are. I wanted to do a video on this because I think many of us, okay, have not been taught financial literacy. All right. And many of you guys know that I've had my first YouTube paycheck. Okay. And if you guys want a video on that, like how much my earnings was, I would be more than glad to disclose it. Okay. To let you guys know how much it was. Let me know in the chat box. All right. So, the other day, I tell you guys all the time, like our intuition, spirit guides is always talking to us. Okay. Always. And not talking in a sense like the way I'm talking, but through symbols, through synchronicities. You may turn on the television one night or watch a YouTube video, and it could be someone on there that's talking about financial literacy. Okay. And the other day, I had my intuition, I had this gut feeling to pick this book back up. Okay. The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay. If you do not have this in your library, now you guys know I'm always recommending books. Okay. I had read this book before. I don't think I have finished it. But this book is an amazing, amazing read. This is like mainly the book that I've been reading for the past. I started reading it yesterday, and then today, like even while I was on the train, I was reading it. It's such an amazing read. And two people recommended this book, okay? And a lot of successful, wealthy people, okay, they would say, mention this book, okay? Two people that I know mentioned it was Jim Rohn, okay, who was Tony Robbins' mentor, and also Eric Thomas, okay, the richest man in Babylon. And he was on some, I forgot the guy name, but he was on a show, a YouTube, doing an interview. Every time it was doing an interview with someone, he was being interviewed, and he mentioned the richest man in Babylon. The guy said, "Oh my goodness, yes, right." So there's a lot of successful people who have read this book, and the reason why is important to read this book. Okay. Now, there are universal laws. Now, I talked about the laws before. Okay. In this book, okay, it says the Babylonians, who were the first to discover the universal laws of prosperity. Okay. We do things and we just think that, oh, well, I've always been programmed to do this. We don't necessarily say programmed. Oftentimes we say, well, my family been doing this, or, my mother never had money. She would spend all her money on fashion or jewelry, whatever, right? And we say those things, but not realizing that the reason why you tend to not have money flowing to you the way you desire to have it, one, you may not know how to keep it. Okay. That's one. And then two, money may not be attracted to you, right? Depending on how your conversation is wrapped around money. Okay. You hear some people say money is the root of all evil, which, by the way, okay, those same exact people that say that, they got to work Monday morning. Okay. They got to work Monday morning. Okay. So if it's so evil, why are you working for the dollar, honey? Okay. All right. The next thing is this. I once heard Jim Rohn say this. He said, it was once said that if you took all the money in the world and divided amongst everyone, it will go right back to the same wealthy people. Why? Because they follow universal principles. Okay. Also, in many communities, okay, especially like in a community I grew up in, it was always about what you had. right? It was, it was more so about your desires. Like, oh well, if you have those earrings. Speaking of earrings, honey, okay. If you had earrings, if you had the flyest car, whatever, it was, it was like, oh, you was the man, or you was the female, or whatever. It never was about financial literacy. And I think a lot of that is keeping up with the Joneses, okay? Another thing you have to understand is this, and this is one of the things that I have learned on my journey and what really got me started and saying this doesn't make sense. Working and buying things, okay? Now I like buying stuff, nice stuff, okay? But when it comes to you feeling like, well, I have to buy those things in order to feel like I'm someone, or I have to buy those things in order for people to like me, or I have to buy those things because I am seeking validation, okay? Then that's a problem, okay? Because it doesn't matter how much things you buy. If you ain't got it, you just ain't got it. Okay. And that's what I came to realize, like, on my journey, right? And when I first got started, I started understanding that it didn't matter about the things that I had. Okay. And I remember my aunt, she always would say this when I was a kid growing up, and I would always hear her say this. She would say, it doesn't matter what you have. If your self-esteem isn't good, then anything that you buy, none of those things matter. Okay. And I would hear her say that as a kid, but I never really took heed. I hear, yeah, okay. I never really took heed until I became much older and I started understanding, or became older, okay, and start understanding, like, what she said, it was really, really true, okay, because what I come to realize, none of those things matter, right? It's all about how you feel about the inside. And so what I learned from reading this book, you may ask, okay, let me see, 4 things, okay, I have learned from reading this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. 1, save 10%, 1/10 of what you earn, okay? So I was doing the math, right? And it's funny how times we'll say, well, or some may say, they don't earn that much. Even if you don't earn that much, you can still put away something. And I remember hearing my mentor, Bob Proctor, say there is a poor excuse why not to save. And when I'm speaking of saving, okay, because we do know that, if you put money in the bank and you save it and stuff like that, the money depreciates, or, the dollar bill is, it holds no value. We all know that, okay? We know that, right? But the reason why you want to save, because you want to start investing your money, okay? You want to start investing your money, okay? That was number 1, okay? So save 1/10 of what you earn, okay? Every time you get paid, 1/10 of what you earn. And this is what I realized, okay, the other day when I had got paid from from YouTube. One of the things that I started saying was, getting paid from YouTube, oh my goodness, that's the best amazing thing, okay? Because you actually getting paid for doing exactly what you love. So it's not work, okay? But there's something to everything, okay? Meaning you don't just want to keep doing the same thing and getting the same exact results. Meaning you don't want to keep on spending your money and then wind up where you once were, okay? And another thing, what's important is I have heard Myron Golden say this. He said, you want to be able to manage the amounts while they are small, okay? Because if you can't manage the amounts while they are small, you definitely won't be able to manage the amounts while they are larger. And I also heard Jim Rohn say that as well, okay? The next thing that I have learned from this book is this. live off of 7/10 of your earnings. Okay, so 7/10 of your earnings. I was doing math earlier. Okay, all right, and I was saying 20,000. Okay, that's what we aiming for. 20,000 a month. And one of the things that I said was, so you live pretty much off of 14,000. Okay, a month. And then 2,000 you pretty much put up, right, far as investments or anything, something like that. Okay, and then we are left with 4,000. Okay, and so it's best to have a plan and map things out, right? Because, like I said prior, if you could manage the small amounts, then you definitely could manage the larger amounts, right? And I was thinking the other day, because you guys see me doing, Dollar Tree hauls and stuff like that, and I tell you guys I have a list, right? And I'm so pumped up because when I was reading this book, one of the things that it kept on talking about was the more you spend all your money, right? The more your children is going to be laborers of the wealthy people. Okay. And so we have to really understand this. And just because we have not been taught financial literacy, there is no excuse. Okay. There's no excuse at all. I remember I was watching this lady. I'm trying to think of her name. I'm gonna leave her um video in a description, okay, because she do budgeting and stuff like that. She has several videos, and I remember she was going over someone's budget plan, and she was saying like they pretty much have to do like a skull and bones budgeting plan. And one of the things that this book talked about, The Richest Man in Babylon, I think his name is Akkad or something like that. It's a Muslim name. But one of the things he said, let's call him Ak, okay? All right. One of the things he said in his book was, he said, many people, is not that they can't save, is that they're confusing their desires with necessity. So they say, well, I need, for instance, I need that watch, okay? Or, well, I need, 20 pairs of shoes this month, or whatever it is. They say that, but they are confusing, okay, their desires, their wants, okay, with their needs, with their necessities, okay? The next thing, what I found to be helpful was, so I have this weekly planner. Okay, this goes. I have recently, a few minutes ago, had took off the writing that was up here a few days ago, and there I mapped out the things that I need for the week. Now, when I went to Dollar Tree, okay, I got a few things. Okay, that was not on the list. Okay, it was like 3 or 4 things that was not on the list. Okay, but what I come to realize is, sometimes we could think like, oh, I got it, right? Like we hear something one time and we like, oh, well, I got it. I know exactly what to do, right? But the thing about it is that is not how we was programmed. We was not programmed by hearing somebody say something once about money. We was programmed by us hearing them say something about money many times, okay? And that's why we have the concept of money, the idea of money that we tend to have. And by the way, money is an idea, okay? Is just energy, okay? It's just a tool, all right? The next thing is, it also talks about, I didn't get to the part where as though it talks about giving, I think it's also 10% of your earnings. I know Jim Brown had mentioned this before, to give 10% of your earnings to a charity or an organization. I know Bob Proctor talked about that as well. So if you guys, I want to know how you feel about this subject about financial, literacy And were you taught, these principles, live off of 7/10 of your earnings and live off of, put away 1/10 of, what you earn for investments and stuff like that. If you have been taught those principles, let me know in the comments, okay? All right. And investments, are any of you guys investing? Not to be nosy, but just to ask, okay? And so I wanted to do a video real quick, just touching bases on this. And there's no excuse, like, we can't keep on saying the same exact thing, right? And doing the same exact thing and hoping and praying and looking for something new to occur. And I'm so grateful for me to be learning this stuff now while while things are the way they are in my life. I'm so grateful and fortunate. The thing that I have learned from this book is this, right? The Richest Man in Babylon is in the book, Ak, okay, let's say Ak, all right. He had invested his money, right? And the guy who he had invested his money to was a brick maker, okay? And I had somebody, an older gentleman who was very, very wealthy, okay, who would school him. And one of the things he asked him, okay, the older gentleman, okay, who would school him, Agamish, okay, one of the things, he would come to Ak, okay, Ak was very, very poor, okay, but, well, he was, I don't want to say poor, he was broke, okay, because poor is a mindset, all right, but he was broke, okay, Agamish, okay, and one of the things it said was a 12-month after Agamish had gone, Agamish would come to Ak and ask him pretty much like, oh, did you, how's it coming along with you saving, 1/10 of what you earn and living off, 7/10 and stuff like that. And one of the things Ak said was, I answer proudly, yes, master, I have. That is good, Akamish answered, beaming upon me. And what have you done with it? So he was asking, like, what did you do with, the 1/10 of what you have saved? Where did you, invested it? And one of the things Ak said, he gave it to a brick maker who told Ak he was traveling over the 7 seas. And he would buy for, Ak, rare Jews. And one of the things Agamish said, every fool must learn. But why trust the knowledge of a brick maker about Jews? And when I thought about that, one of the things that really popped in my mind was Robert Kiyosaki, okay? Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you guys have that book, but that is a must read as well. I have that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and his other book, Fake Teachers, Fake Assets, Fake Money, okay? And one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki says, he says, you don't work for money, okay? You do what you love, okay? That's one. And then 2, you don't get advice from people who is not doing what you want to do, okay? So what I mean by that is this. So I remember when I had got started on YouTube a few years back, okay, and I wanted to, like, I wasn't, consistent, like I would post and then I stopped, okay, but then I started being consistent, and that's why, I became monetized. But I remember it was a content creator who had a larger follower than me. And I had went to her for advice, right? Why? Because she's been in a game, and she has a larger following, and she get paid, okay? She was getting paid good, okay? And so I went to her for advice. So a lot of it is sometimes we may go to people who don't, and they not bad people, but they just don't know, right? Like, for instance, when my mother told me, she said, when I first started making videos on YouTube, well, actually the videos were on Facebook. And one of the things she said to me, she said, if it was me, Dean, I wouldn't put all my business out there. And I love my mother to the life of me, but it wasn't, I'm not my mother. Okay. All right. And so, although I love my mother to the life of me, but I can't listen to my mother more than I listen to Source. Okay. Because Source is the one that gave me the download and told me to make the videos. All right. And so I just wanted, to put that in there. But, yeah, let me know if you guys even had this book. Okay. Let me know in the comments. All right.